Yo, what's up, Night Owls? Get ready to dive into the gritty streets of crime dramas and roll with the baddest protagonists in town. This is Life, Death, and Dopeboys, where we break down the real and raw of criminal tales. I'm your smooth operator, spitting the stories that'll make you groove. Now, you know we bring the entertainment with a side of humor, keeping it real for all you listeners out there. But heads up, we spill all the beans. So if you ain't caught up, consider this your spoiler alert. Tonight, we got Indy and Justin taking you on a wild ride through the back alleys of Season 2 of Breaking Bad. Walter White's cooking up schemes to clean that dirty money, cause he can't even take credit for his hustle. Meanwhile, Jesse's hitting rock bottom on the drug train. And guess who's conducting? Jane's got the ticket to tragedy, and it's a one-way trip. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, cause this car's about to speed up, and it won't stop until the Wayfarer drops. Check it out. Life, Death, and Dopeboys. Water on Mars. Let's roll. Rest in peace, Wesley Shepard.
Jesse, wake up! You got robbed last night. Wake up! There's a hole in the door. They put a piece of cardboard on top, bro. This is Walter White we're talking about, though. Like,
but it's season two, Walt. It's season 2, Walt. He's not Heisenberg yet.
Yes, he is.
And you get that text message like, I'm in New Zealand.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I'm at the Shire.
I'm a bush pilot out here.
We melted 2 dudes in acid like a few weeks ago. Like, this is serious. Don't threaten him. He'll kill you.
Life, Death, and Dopeboys. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the show. I'm Indy. I'm joined by Justin.
What up?
Please be prepared for spoilers for the entirety of Breaking Bad.
It's true.
We're at the end of season 2. And honestly, like, I didn't realize just how important this season is.
Yeah, a lot happens.
A lot happens that, like, create some, like, major events down the line.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you're not caught up somehow, go back, watch the episode, or just finish the series, and then come back and watch this. I guarantee it'll be worth it. We just watched season 2, episode 12.
Yes.
It's called Phoenix. This is the one where Jane dies.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
This is a tough one, man. The end of this episode is nuts, but you know, we get a couple other things happening that don't really matter, but all the story picks up when Jane starts to get involved. So this episode was written by John Shiban. I don't know how to say that name.
I like Shiban better.
He's actually one of the executive producers.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he wrote a couple of other episodes in this season. He wrote Negro y Azul.
Black and Blue. Which episode was that?
That was
so familiar. Is that the episode Tuco kidnaps them?
That's the episode that Tortuga, the exploding head
I see.
Tortuga situation in Mexico. Mm-hmm. That's the most exciting thing that happens in that episode. Mm-hmm. One of the most exciting things that happens in the series.
Yeah. That's a really memorable scene right there.
Yep, the Danny Trejo one. He also wrote ABQ, the second ABQ, the season 3 one, because ABQ, like the letters, is the season finale to season 2, and then one of the first episodes, I think the very first in season 3 is ABQ, but it's spelled out. You know, you'll see it on the screen.
Oh, I know what you mean.
But he also wrote some Smallville, some Supernatural, some X-Files. Like this guy, he probably wrote a lot of the TV shows that people who watched Breaking Bad the first time around, like, grew up watching.
Right. Thanks for X-Files, bud.
Yeah, for real. We're directed by Colin Buxey. He wrote I See You. That's a later on episode. That's the one where Hank's in the hospital after getting shot up by the twins or something like that. But he also has a primetime Emmy. This dude is, like, British, I guess. He wrote an episode of Fargo and won an Emmy for it.
It's a good show. We'll probably watch it eventually.
He also did some directing for Wu-Tang and American Saga, oddly enough.
Wow.
Some British dude was on the set.
Can't judge a book by its accent, I guess.
Thanks, dog. You hope to tell a story about the Wu-Tang Clan. Anyway, it's a lot of really cool things that happen in this episode. So I'm eager to go ahead and get started. Ready?
Yes.
Life, Death, and Dope Boys, Episode 19, Water on Mars.
After missing the birth of his baby daughter, Holly, Walt ain't wasting no time stashing that duffel in his sleek 2004 Pontiac Aztec. Then it's pedal to the metal to the hospital. Ted's in the mix too. Walt ain't tripping though. He bounces back and runs home to scoop up Skylar's overnight gear. Oh, and that duffel he stashed is heavy with over $1 million in straight cash. And that money was crisp too. It looked like Gus just went to the bank and pulled out $1 million fresh off the presses. The money was probably still warm and shit.
Yeah.
Weird though, seeing Ted kind of creep into the frame.
I like how they brought him into the frame. Where it's like he didn't creep into the frame. He's standing there like enjoying the nice wholesome moment. Walt's meeting his daughter for the first time. Like Ted's like, man, this is really beautiful. Like he doesn't creep into the frame. The camera just kind of pans over and he's just chilling. There.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, all right, yeah, you guys, this is a great moment. The dude who was just holding this woman's hand romantically, like in the office. Come on, dude.
It wasn't romantic. He was just consoling her.
Okay, you're right. I'm jumping to conclusions for a show that I've already seen.
He's just being a pal.
Okay. I don't like the fact that he's even still at the hospital.
Yeah. I feel like if I was in Ted's position, I probably would have left when Marie got there. There's no reason for you to be here anymore. Like you've gotten her. Your job was to get her to the hospital and... Thank you. Somebody needed to take Skylar to the hospital. But like, she's in the hands of medical practitioners now. And, her sister's here. I should get back to work.
Bro, anyone's boss. I mean, you can be best friends with your boss, whatever. Skylar's not. So like you go to the hospital to see your friend and their boss is still just like they're chilling. There's family there. You're no longer needed. Your services were appreciated. Thank you very much. Gone.
It's weird that Marie didn't send him away. I'm sure Marie thought it was weird that he was there.
Because she actually knows of some history.
Funny business.
Going on between. So this is just probably really strange to her. She probably just resolved to stay out of it.
That doesn't sound her. That's not her way.
Nah, that doesn't sound like Marie. It must. I don't know. But it seems like she definitely would have had something to say about the fact that like Ted was still hanging around. Okay, he dropped you at the hospital. All right. Mm-hmm. What's he doing here? Mm-hmm. And Walt kind of looks at him the same way. He's like, I didn't even see you over there. Like
stand lurking in the shadows.
What are you doing?
If anything, he's trying to be out of the way, which is very considerate of him.
It'd be weird if you saw him like scooting towards the door in the background.
Or if he came up to like congratulate Walt, if he like came and put an arm up around him. Hey, bud.
Good
Congratulations,
job,
Dad.
You're a dad now. I've been a dad for 16 years. Get out of here.
Next morning, Jane gets a wake-up call from her pops, Donald. She casually mentions to Jesse on her way out that somebody broke in, and Jesse bolts to the kitchen and loses it when he sees that the dope stash is gone. Jesse hits up Walt, and Walt lays into Jesse for ringing him at the crib and doesn't react when Jesse drops the news about the stash. Jesse's practically begging Walt to drop some words, maybe even scream at him, but Walt, stone cold, just hangs up on him. A hot minute later, Jesse peeps that he has 4 messages lighting up his answering machine.
Jane is pretty nonchalant about the fact that there was a break-in.
At the property that she manages?
Yeah.
Like, you think...
That's the part.
Bruh.
At the property.
You know why? It's because they're on drugs.
You think that's it?
That's gotta be it. I can't think of any other reason. Like, ain't no way that this isn't a big deal to her. That makes 0 sense to me.
But he figures out pretty quickly that, Walt has the money. So it's not even really like an issue to where he's so concerned about the door. Jesse is the one who should be more concerned about the door, or Jane is. Jesse is more concerned about the dope. So the fact that Jane isn't concerned about neither, and Jesse's only worried about the dope, like, it don't matter. But,
yeah, I guess
but Jesse's reaction is way more appropriate. As far as he's concerned, somebody else, like nobody else is supposed to know where that meth stash is, not even Walt. So the fact that somebody broke in, they went straight to the kitchen, knew exactly where the meth was, and took all of it.
I think it's this example is a testament to how powerfully addictive heroin is, because in Jesse's shoes, it'd been like, listen, Jane, we're never doing heroin again. Someone broke into the back door, walked right past us, and stole $500,000 worth of drugs out of my goddamn apartment.
And I didn't even
know. And after talking to Walter or something, you find out that I'm the one who told them where the drugs are. I just didn't remember because I was fucking doped up. Well,
Yeah. I would have a problem. I would personally have a problem with that fact.
Yeah.
I'm the one who told you. Anyone could have walked into my house and I would have told them where the dope is.
Yup.
No, we're not doing this no more. It's time to
fuck
be
that,
done with this.
bro. Yeah. No,
yeah,
man.
it's like really addictive. And he can't even, like, the next time he gets emotionally heightened after he leaves Walt's classroom, he's like, I need drugs. And he doesn't even go to his personal drug of choice. He uses Jane's drug.
Yeah. Jesse should have never done meth around her.
And then Walt doesn't tell Jesse right away that it was, but I feel like I would have done the same thing. I feel like I would have just hung up on Jesse.
Yeah, and let him freak out.
Yeah, because at this point, I'm pissed.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I almost missed out on $1 million. Almost missed this $1 million deal. There's no other way to move this 38 pounds of meth. We at one shot, I give you a call, and you're like, gone.
Adding insult to injury, exactly why the motherfucker I want to work with said he doesn't want to work with us. You proved him right.
Yeah.
You proved him right in this instance.
Not even like, and on a drug that it's like, bro, I didn't even know you was.
Yeah, I didn't even know you
Where
did
did this come from?
Probably would have never associated with you if I knew that you did heroin. Let's be real.
Yeah. What? Heroin? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
He just kind of says that to him in the classroom.
Really? Heroin? And it's like, yeah, man, really?
I'm disappointed in Jesse.
Like,
no, I would have been like, yo, answer your voice machine.
where are Jesse's friends? Like, I guess nobody's told.
His friends are kind of, I don't know.
Badger is in what? Fresno?
Badger is in Fresno.
Skinny Pete doesn't talk to him. Skinny Pete's probably pissed at him right now.
Skinny Pete's probably still mad at him because he wasn't at the funeral.
Yeah.
Because that was yesterday.
It was at least earlier this week.
The funeral, he listens to the funeral voicemail on the same day that Jesse he listens to that voicemail, and then Jane comes
brings him
in
with heroin
with
for
heroin.
the first time.
And then they wake up and the meth is gone. So it's like,
Word is the floating scene, and then and then Walter comes in. So damn, so Jesse's done heroin 3 times at this point over the course of the last 3 days.
in this we see him do it 3 times. The first time is
he's floating.
And
that night is when Walter comes for the money.
yes.
And then the next
second
day
time is the next day after he comes back from the school, and then it's that next night. Yeah. That's all it takes.
Damn, Jesse.
That night, Hank and Marie roll up to the White crib for a family feast. Los Pollos Hermanos chicken. As they chow down, Skylar drops the bomb that she's going back to work soon. With Walt's surgery on the horizon, she's got to stack that paper. When the night falls, Walt strolls with his newborn Holly all around the spot. He flexes, showing her the stacks he's stashed behind the garage wall insulation, and he tells her, "Your pops is out here holding you down, young blood." Walt's really proud of himself for making that money, though. We really see it in this scene. I think this whole
episode, but I agree with you.
Yeah, this is kind of where they highlight it. It's like he's got...
This is his money. He made it for his family.
The chicken situation where Skylar's talking about going back to work. He knows Skylar doesn't have to work. Skylar's talking about him going back to work at the school. He knows he doesn't have to go back to work.
I'm not going to be a high school teacher
Fucking
ever again.
Hank and Marie offering their assistance. No, let us buy that for you. It's no problem. Walt knows he doesn't need Hank's money, but he can't tell anyone at the table that, no, we good. I'm sitting on $500,000. But he can tell this baby. The baby's not going to tell nobody. Baby's not even going to remember. So he shows the only person who can keep a secret the stacks of money in the wall.
I think he could have told Skylar. I think Skylar is pragmatic enough. I think that by the time he tells her, it's too late, and that's why a lot of stuff gets messed up.
What about the fact that...
The way that he handles... I don't know. It's like... he's so begrudging about letting Skylar in when it comes to the finances that
Mhm.
like the bag kind of gets fumbled even with her. Like the whole giving money to Ted and shit, that should have never become an issue.
Yeah, that should have been able to be a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is some shit that could fuck things up.
I think Skylar was pragmatic enough that he could have told her and they could have figured something out then. They could have started figuring out how to launder the money or what lie they were going to tell, because that's all Skylar's idea anyway.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you think about it,
He
all
needs
that
an
happens.
accountant. He's married to an accountant.
All that happens after him and Skylar are separated.
Mhm.
Right? Like, so legally, she's damn near like getting ready to divorce this man. And she decides to kind of like help him out with finding a way to clean the money up and, you know, hide the fact that, you know, all this stuff is happening. They're not in any semblance of a happy marriage when this is happening. So there's no real evidence shown in the show that if he would have told her while they were still happily married, that it wouldn't have
Blown up in
torn
his
his
face.
family apart. Yeah.
I guess that's fair, but man, it's $1 million. It's $1 million.
Yeah.
Skylar, I'm setting us up. I'm setting our children up for the rest of their lives, dude. Come on. We're rich now.
But Skylar is like,
She's like what?
When
Because
when
next
he
season
tells
she does a
her-
bunch of illegal stuff. Like it's nothing.
Yeah, but by that time, Walter has already
What about for
changed
Ted?
her.
What about for Ted?
By that time, Walter has already changed her.
I think she would have done that shit for Ted anyway, bro.
I don't know. It kind of like, the question is, all right, Skylar in season 1 and Skylar in season 3 are like, to me, two completely different people. My question about this would be, would Skylar have become that person anyway, whether the meth business was a secret or not?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes. I think that the person in season 2 and the person in season 3 are the same person. She just didn't have a reason. She didn't have to dig deep in herself to come up with that persona to help save Ted that first time when the IRS shows up. That was Skylar. The whole laundromat, or I'm sorry, not laundromat, car wash idea and stuff. That wasn't another person.
Mm-hmm.
That was problem solving ass Skylar that she's been since season 1.
That's a good point. And this show it's kind of only a matter of time before any of the characters break bad.
Even Flynn and Holly.
Nah, not Flynn and Holly. They're the only ones who don't. Only ones who don't do any. Well, no.
Flynn probably becomes a fucking DEA agent somehow in his wheelchair or whatever.
That's interesting. I think that you could be right about that. I think they could be potentially the same person.
Yeah, dude. The next day, Jesse storms into Walt's classroom all pissed off, calling him out for snatching the meth stash. Walt fires back, laying into Jesse for being all messed up during the biggest deal of their lives and making him miss Holly's birth. Jesse demands his $480,000 cut, but Walt refuses, saying he'll just splurge on dope and wake up dead within a week. Jesse swears he's clean, but Walt ain't buying it. He hands Jesse a glass beaker and challenges him to a urine test. Jesse, caught red-handed, loses it and hurls the beaker at the chalkboard, shattering it, and then leaves the classroom.
Jesse is awfully indignant for someone who
Helps cook half of the meth?
just missed the best, almost ruined, almost squandered the deal of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Almost lost himself this is $500,000 that he wouldn't have
If it wasn't for Walter right now?
if it wasn't for Walter busting into the room and grabbing the meth stash, whether he told him about it or not, bro. Jesse, you dropped the ball, dude.
Jesse did drop the ball. That is his money. Give that man his money.
I feel like
What business is it of Walter's what Jesse does with his half of the money?
bro, it's not like there's no deal, there's no arrangement that Jesse is getting out the business. Like I understand there can be other stipulations that Walter could have came up with in order to be like, do this and then I'll release your funds. But like there's
I'm saying there should be no stipulation.
Bro,
why is he sunning Jesse right now? What do you care?
It's not about sunning him.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Because in any business, like, there's money withholding, like, is a thing. There are situations where you can have money and it won't be released to you until you hit, like, some stipulations. It can be legal. It can be, like, as per your contract, whatever the case may be. Like, Walter has the money. He also has a reason to believe that Jesse's going to kill himself with it. And he still needs Jesse as a partner. So for him to be able to, for him to say, clean yourself up to a point to where we can continue to do business, like, you're not in any position to be able to make this decision for yourself.
That shit has
he's being his guard. His like
nothing to do with Jesse. Jesse does not give a fuck if Walt might still need him as a partner. Give me my $500,000.
But at this point, what do you think Jesse would have done with that money?
Whatever it is, it's not Walt's business.
Even if Jesse goes and kills himself?
Yes.
What, bro?
Yes.
Yo, like, if I have a business partner that I care about, and Walt cares about Jesse, minimally, but he cares. He cares enough that at the end of this episode, he's like torn up over what he just let happen.
Yeah, but I think that's guilt over what happened, not
So when at the end of the season, when he puts him in rehab, he doesn't care about Jesse. He puts him in rehab. He uses his own money to do that. Come on, man. He cares about Jesse. And literally,
it's like
if you had anything like a friend and you had their money and was like, all right, if I give him this money or her, she's probably going to kill themselves. So I'm going to keep it until they clean themselves up. Bro, that's like a moral decision. That's a principled decision.
This is Walter White we're talking about, though. Like,
but it's season 2 Walt. It's season 2 Walt. He's not Heisenberg yet.
Yes, he is. He picks and chooses when he wants to take the high road and shit. Like, there is absolutely no
up
reason.
To this point, he's never killed anyone that wasn't self-defense.
Jesse could have killed himself on meth at any moment.
And Walter would have felt responsible for it if he had given, like, knowing that if I give you this money, you're going to kill yourself. If I give you this money and you kill yourself, I'm going to feel really fucking guilty about that. I'm going to feel like it was my fault.
But I don't think that's why Walter doesn't give him his money.
Yes, I do. I think it's all because he thinks that he's going to kill himself with it. Even when he brings him the money to the door, like, before Jane closes the door on him, he's like talking to Jesse like, yo, you're not thinking straight. You're not thinking about this right.
That's just one manipulator trying to get over on him after another manipulator.
I can yield on that and not go down that road anymore. But I honestly do believe that Walt is being honest here and he thinks that Jesse's going to kill himself, because when he was just doing meth, it was like, all right, you know.
I think it's shitty that he probably should have forced him to take a drug test, because you know good and goddamn well this man's not.
That was the point.
Even if he's not doing heroin. So that's just moving the goalpost, though, because even if the man wasn't doing heroin, let's say he missed that phone call for a different reason, is Walter still going to make him take a drug test? No matter heroin or not, Jesse's not going to pass a drug test. He's not. He smokes weed and meth.
But he doesn't want him to do a drug test. He's calling Jesse's bluff, because Jesse straight up lies and goes,
I'm clean,
man. I'm clean, man. Yeah, I'm clean right now.
No, you're not.
So that's just him calling his bluff. He knows that. But using meth, like, wouldn't have ruined the deal, wouldn't have spoiled the deal. Like, we talked about it while we were watching it. If he was on meth instead of heroin, that deal still would have happened. Walt would have called him. He would have been, like, tweaking on meth, but he wouldn't have missed the call. He doesn't deserve this attitude that he's copping right now. Throwing the fucking beaker at Walt.
Walt insulted him. Walt deserved that. I love that part, because Walt says some grimy shit to Jesse and Jesse throws it, and then he looks at Walt like, he looks at Jesse like, what is wrong with you?
What did you do that for?
He looks at him like he didn't just call his girlfriend a junkie whore. I'm like,
he didn't say whore. He just called her a junkie.
Hey, whatever. Take this glass jar, bro.
And that's what she is. It's like Spooge and the skank. He calls her a skank. She's like, don't call me a skank. And he's like, you're a skank.
Whatever, man. Insults is insults. Somebody called your girlfriend the N-word. She's a nigga. You're
That's
still
not
gonna...
the... Okay.
Yes, it is. Slurs are slurs. Don't call people junkies to their faces.
Hey, man, you better watch who you talking to. I'll throw this beaker right at your face.
Yeah. Why arm somebody and then insult them?
Walt, of course, did not feel like he was arming Jesse.
He should have.
But Walt underestimates Jesse all the time. All the time.
Yes. And Walt stays talking mad shit to Jesse and then being shocked when he catches repercussions for it.
Man, I can't get around to your side on this argument. I feel like me and Jesse would also have not come to any type of rational conclusion. I mean, putting myself in the same position if it were you and I had money that I knew, I won't do it.
It's hard. I'm just arguing Jesse's point. Yeah, there's nothing that someone could say to me that would make me be like, all right, man, just hold on to this $500,000 for me. Fuck you. That wasn't the deal.
There's a parallel to this in Superfly. We just watched Superfly, y'all. And we'll talk about that more in that video. But right now, I want to talk about fucking Saul's deal that he has going on with Walt and Jesse.
How do you mean?
20%?
Yeah.
Saul is robbing them, bro.
Who else they gonna get to do it for him? Robbing them how? He's the only one. He's got a monopoly.
I guess they just have to take whatever offer that he gives them. 20%?
Yeah.
Every million that y'all make, he gets 200 bands out of it?
He's taking a risk too. He could go to prison too. He does go to prison. Of the three of them, Saul's the only one who goes to prison.
Damn. You're right.
He's taking a risk too. Arguably larger than either of them.
But he is getting dough.
Hey, they're still making more money. Saul's earning that. They couldn't do this without Saul.
You're right. He was the plug. He's the one who got them to Gus in the first place.
Yeah.
Dang. I guess you're right. Saul would have talked me into that deal too.
Yeah.
Who was he gonna go to, Walt? Skinny Pete?
It's like when someone comes to you and asks for help and they have no one else that they can go to.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. You can ask for whatever you want. Yeah, I can help you, but
at least he's being somewhat fair.
Yeah, you gotta ask for 50.
Yeah, I mean when he first says it in the scene, when because Jesse's like, all right, 1.2 million, so I get like 600 grand then. That's dope. And Walt's like, no, like Saul's cut is 20%. I heard that and I was like, Saul's cut, Saul 20%. That's a lot of money he got out of that. Almost 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, Saul's sitting kind of in a pretty position there.
Earned it.
Back at the crib, Junior shows Walt and Skylar his fresh new website, SaveWalterWhite.com. It's all about raking in donations for Walt's surgery, but Walt ain't feeling it, straight up mortified by the idea of free money. Skylar, though, pushes back, saying it would crush the little homie's heart if Walt shut it down. Then she asks him why he's so offended in the first damn place. Let's examine this a little bit. Won't we? Can we? Walt's, like, severe distaste for charity, because this came up before. Back at Elliot Schwartz's birthday party, when they're leaving, and Walt's like, you think that I would want to accept their charity or something like that? He sees it as a bad thing. He sees it as something that, no, like, I'm not taking that. It's
for other people.
Why does he, what's up with that?
I think it's the same sort of idea when people who have a negative idea of people who are on welfare or food stamps or something. You couldn't tell somebody who was even a little bit affluent that they like could be on food stamps or something. Even if they qualified, they wouldn't ever sign up for it because that's for a different grade of people. You know what I mean?
That's Walter, for poor people.
Yes. Walter's better than that in his mind. That could be some shit that he was raised with or something else. Like, man, he does not accept charity. You do not accept charity if you're Walter White or his family. It really does. It's so ingrained in him that has to just
be. Because it has nothing to do with the money that this has something to do with the money he has in the walls.
It's almost irrational. Like, I could see it comes in all instances.
It comes in all instances. Exactly.
Like whether
he had this money or not. Back when he didn't know how he was going to pay for the fucking.
You have a rich friend offering to pay, and you're still like, I don't accept charity. This isn't Salvation Army, man. Like,
bro, when he was talking to Gretchen in that restaurant, he said he kind of insulted her in the way he called her like rich, like you're rich and you have access to daddy's money, and like he was talking about her like her being rich was something that he was mad at her for. Like,
I can understand finding this very embarrassing. I could see not wanting my son to make a website asking for handouts from strangers online, especially in this day and age. This is pre-fucking, what's the website where everybody asks for help for money online?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, yes. People weren't doing that all like that. And even then, bro, you got to be desperate to start a GoFundMe. Like, people just don't want to have GoFundMes for charities and stuff like that.
I understand that, but all right, so I get that, and I would feel the same way. I would want to have been consulted
at least
in this situation, or like get some sort of heads up that this is happening, and then have a say in whether or not it was going to happen or if it's going to continue. But thinking about it from Walter Jr.'s perspective and Skylar's,
supposed to be a surprise.
No, not even that part. You had a donor who was paying for the cancer treatment. Y'all know that they're not paying for this surgery. And y'all are like broke. Where else is that money going to come from? He's like, I want to help. I'm going to do something to help out. And of course, he never imagines that it's going to blow up like it does. And without Walt,
it wouldn't have.
How many people would have gone to that janky ass website and actually given money to this kid for his dad's cancer?
What's interesting for me is it's like, another reason I would have just ended up telling Skylar if I was Walt is this episode and the next episode, it's like they're just putting straws on the camel's back. How much of this indignity can you take while y'all are on the news now?
Yeah.
You're sitting on the news begging for money for your treatment. How much of this are you willing to take, Walt, before you tell Skylar that you have $1 million hiding in the freaking walls of this house? Like, you want to keep your lie going, but you also want credit for doing this? Like, something's got to give.
Those ideas don't mesh. It's like inevitable. It's like two cars in a one-lane road driving towards each other. There's going to be a crash, no matter how much you're trying to avoid it. You can't want both things and try to keep them separate still.
He could have squashed all of this embarrassment in a hour-long conversation with Skylar.
She would have been mad for a minute.
You're not mad. We're rich now, though. Like, how mad are you really going to be? And if Heisenberg wasn't Heisenberg, all of the danger that he gets into in season 3 would have never happened. So she'd have had no reason to ever be worried. That whole I'm the one who knocks speech would have never had to happen. Skylar and I just go to work 8 hours a day and I make $12 million a year. $2 million? I can't remember. Either way.
Any million a year.
Like, Saul drops some knowledge on Walt. Something about a Belarus hacker who can clean up his drug money through Walter Jr.'s site. Meanwhile, Jesse fades into a heroin high, griping about how Walter owes him $480. Jane's like, yeah, I'd be pissed if somebody owed me $500 too. Jesse, half out of it, keeps mumbling, 1,000, and Jane's like, what?
I always wonder though, like, what if, because this revelation, like, she would have eventually learned that he was selling meth or that he was making like this amount of money.
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if she had this revelation or learned that he had this kind of money before she relapsed?
I think that she would have potentially been a much more positive influence on his life if she wasn't high on smack. Because even in the episode where he does meth in front of her and she ends up relapsing, she tries to convince him to do other things. She probably would have tried to convince him to go to rehab and get clean. But then, like, her whole rant about, like, getting out of here, that probably wouldn't have been much different, except it would have been more measured. She's, like, obviously, like, tweaking the fuck out as they're, like, rambling out these plans that they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, slow down, lady. Jane seemed to have some kind of idea of what she was doing with her life before.
Yeah, what she wanted to. Right.
I think she would have been a much more positive influence. Jesse is the one who needs guided.
Talk about the two Janes. Like you mentioned like a couple of days ago when we were just kind of sitting back talking about business that Jesse and Jane's relationship, like they have two relationships.
Yes. Yeah, there's drug addict Jane and then there's clean Jane. And they are two different people completely. Like, drug addict Jane's not interested in going to fucking art museums and like talking about any of the interesting topics they talked about and stuff like that and seeing his art. She doesn't give a fuck about none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't care about enriching Jesse's life or turning him on to any new ideas or anything like that. She just wants to lay in bed and do heroin.
Because that's all she does from here on out. Like, since she relapsed, she hasn't done anything but drugs.
Yes. That's it.
But so clean Jane, you feel like would have been like, all right, you have $480,000.
What do you plan on doing with it?
What are you going to do with it?
Yes.
And then after that, been like, no, you're getting out. We're not selling drugs no more. We're going to take this money. We're going to use it for something productive.
Yes.
That's a whole different Jane. Like, that's
Jane's a bitch before she does heroin.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, but she's not a bad person. And she doesn't... It's hard to say that she doesn't seem short-sighted when she makes these... She's most known for her short-sighted ass decisions.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think would have stayed the same is she probably still would have called and threatened Walter.
If he didn't get the money.
Yeah, I think sober Jane still would have done that shit.
But I guess if she wouldn't have relapsed, then Jesse wouldn't have been on heroin, and so there would have been no reason for her to call and extort.
Jesse would have gotten the call. They wouldn't have been on heroin.
Yeah, it just would have been...
If anything, they would have been at like an art museum. They're in like Arizona doing some cool stuff.
Yeah. The next day, Donald is solo at a support group session. No Jane in sight. He hits up Jane and ends up catching her trying to slide out of Jesse's spot. Dude ain't having it, barges past her and walks in on Jesse, who's knocked out with all the heroin gear on the bedside table. He loses it and starts wailing on Jesse, who's quick to grab a baseball bat. Donald's had enough and calls the cops to come bust Jane, but Jane is able to finesse it, promising she'll check into rehab the next day. Sun bounces, and as he's out though, Jane flips the script. She tells Jesse they can roll however they want once they got his money, so she hits up Walt and threatens to bring the whole house down if he don't cough up that cash by the end of the night.
I think this scene and the scene once they get the money are Jane's best acting.
Yeah.
In the series. Yes.
This is a really well acted scene. Because you really get the feeling that like, oh man, shit's about to hit the fan. She
actually seems like she's coming down off drugs. She's actually seems the whole crying and manipulating her dead is very convincing.
And you start to like, when he walks up to the house and even him walking like through the hallway and she's trailing behind him like, no, it's not what it looks like. Don't, you don't have to go. No, don't like Dad. No, wait. Like that to me is like, oh, he's about to see some shit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty when he figures out what's about to happen. And the first thing he does is ram Jesse's head into a milk crate. And I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Jesse deserves it.
But he starts dialing the police.
Bro, he calls 911. The police would have showed up.
They would have pulled up. Yeah. They would have eventually pulled up. I don't know how things are in Albuquerque.
Yeah, if you call 911 here, the police show up. I could call 911 right now and hang up, and the police will be here.
Yeah, we got a phone call from this area. Something going on? No? What are you talking about, officer?
My thing is, too, he had to have just been mad because even beyond the capacity of this is your daughter and shit, you're still the landlord.
Yeah.
The back door is busted open and shit. Like, he has other reasons for the police to be here. He has other reasons to kick Jesse out.
Yeah.
Jesse is fucked.
Yeah. And especially after this whole situation is over, Jesse does not have a place to live. It's probably the first thing he does is like, all right, I'm evicting this tenant.
Oh, yeah, bro. You got to get the fuck up out of my house
It's
now.
over. But like, yeah, he has hella reasons. I don't know why. I feel like Donald is partly responsible for Jane's death. I feel like there are a lot of parties who are responsible for Jane's death. Like a lot of people just blame Walt.
You're victim blaming. I blame Jesse.
I'm not blaming him completely. Well, then you're victim blaming. Jesse is also a victim of Jane's death. Like there are a lot of people who are responsible. I'm not saying, hey, it's this person's fault. It's this person's fault. It's this person's fault. But did he have the opportunity to make a decision that could have changed the outcome?
Yes.
Yes, he should have taken Jane with him.
Should have stayed until the police got there, and then he should have taken Jane then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to rehab right then.
Maybe not even to rehab. Maybe to, like, spend the night at his house to, like, come down off of her high. Because she asked for a day. She says she'll go in the morning. He's cool with that. I don't have no problem with that. But then it's like, all right, well, I'm not leaving you here with this he doesn't know that she does meth, but
You can't trust a junkie.
with this junkie and a bunch of meth or heroin. Your drug of choice is still sitting in that back room that you just pulled them out of. So you know that there's someone who can influence her. And then you know that there is drugs in the house still. And she can potentially die. That's what he's scared of. So he leaves her there. Like, that to me is a bad decision. It's a bad decision. I would have brought her with me.
Mm-hmm.
She might have stayed the night, and then I'm taking you to rehab in the morning, whatever that would be it. Not that it's his fault. He could have done something, though.
I think it's the least his fault.
It is the least his fault.
His fault.
The least.
It's like your whole thing that you just said, he probably says to himself. And then people go, you can't blame yourself for this.
But I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying it's his fault. Maybe that's just, semantics.
Yeah. So Jesse and Jane are playing the waiting game, wondering if Walt's gonna buckle under the pressure. While they're deep in thought, Skylar sends Walt on a diaper run. Walt uses it as an opportunity to snag a duffel bag with Jesse's share of the cash and roll to their duplex. Jane opens the door, but Walt's like, hell no, man. Tell Jesse I said come here. When Walt throws shade with nice wearing the pants relationship, Jesse snaps back at him, tells Walt he won't be seeing them pants ever again. Then Jane slams the door in Walt's face. Jesse doesn't have any agency in this episode whatsoever. He has people pulling him in directions. He doesn't make any of the decisions on his own.
Yeah, Jesse has been relegated not even almost. Jesse has been relegated to a background character in this episode.
Yes.
He's completely robbed of all of his agency.
Yes.
And yeah, this graphic pretty much demonstrates he's a background character. It's literally the battle for Jesse. This is a parental dispute.
Yeah, right. This is a custody battle over this motherfucker.
And he's talking like he doesn't have any choice in the matter. And I think about it so if you're Jesse and you're looking at Jane's plan from Jesse's point of view, Jane is going to
blackmail Walter.
And y'all are just going to be all right. You're going to take $480,000 and skip town.
There's some stuff that Jesse should have talked to Jane about first. Like, for one, I'm his partner. If he goes to prison, I do too. There is going to be no me testifying against Walter and not going to prison.
Yeah, he says something interesting in the scene where they're outside, smoking, talking about it. And he goes, I'm not the type of person to roll, and by extension, neither are you. Mm-hmm. Saying, yo, you're dating a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So you're Kay Adams, bro. You're not going to be snitching on nobody. That's not, because if you do, then people are going to be looking at me like, bro, why should I work with you? Why should I?
I feel like beyond that too, Jesse should have sat Jane down to be like, listen, this man has already murdered 2 people. Walter White is much more than you realize him to be. He is much more than just some fucking calmly high school science teacher. We melted 2 dudes in acid a few weeks ago. This is serious. Don't threaten him. He'll kill you. He's dangerous.
He's dangerous, and he's crazy.
You should be a little afraid of him at least. Really.
This plan is way too basic for you to be
there is no disappearing.
No. And not only that, but we talk about Jesse taking the money and skipping town, blah, blah, blah. But it's never Jesse's decision to get out of the business. Jane has decided for Jesse that you're not cooking meth no more. We're going to take this money. We're going to leave. We're going to start a whole new life. I've decided what you're going to do with your future.
I think that would have happened even if she was sober, though.
I understand that, but that would have been coming from a much less
controlling, manipulative,
anxiety-based.
money grubbing.
Yeah, it'd be like, all right, we're going to get you out of this business. We're going to take this as your cash out, and we're going to get out of here. But it's like, Jesse, for me, I'm looking at the situation like, all right, I cook meth with Walter White.
Mhm.
We just made $500,000 on a drug deal. Am I finished?
Yeah.
And then as you're trying to think of that, she comes up with this plan to blackmail your partner. You don't even know if you're finished cooking meth yet. That's not like, this isn't a place where you can just be like, all right, I'm just going to kind of let her make all the decisions. I'm going to let her drive. And
would you want to continue working with Walter White after this?
I don't really think that's well, is it like?
Because, yeah, all right, you can, sure, let's say Jesse continued cooking meth. He's not going to be blue meth. And he immediately makes himself one of Walter's competitors, which is not a good idea. We see what happens to Walter's competitors.
I think that Jesse still working with Walter White is still on the table at this point, and Jane is cutting that bridge. I would want, in Jesse's shoes, I would want the option of being able to say, all right, I'm going to just let that part of my life go. But Jesse is okay with this. He's okay with this background character.
Yeah.
Shit, like.
Jesse doesn't make decisions for it. He's used to getting sunned by people.
And then when Walt comes to the door and Jane answers it, and according to Jane, the way this would have went was Jane answers the door, grabs the briefcase from Walt, and closes the door. Jesse's like, where is Jesse?
He's back there, standing in the fucking
out of sight, like blocking, like
not looking, like trying to hide.
I don't want Walter to see me type situation. And then when he finally does come to the door, it's like you don't say anything.
You won't even make eye contact.
Yourself. You can't even make eye contact.
He looks at his shoes.
You grab the money and then you say you won't be hearing from either of us again. And when Walt asks Jesse, well, how do I know that she's gonna stay quiet? Jane answers the question. Like, doesn't even let him answer. Like,
and answers in a very dangerous way. It's like, Jesse, I would have told if we were partners and you were dangerous and my girlfriend threatened you, I'd probably, hey, stop. Don't threaten him. Are you crazy? Do you, like, obviously they haven't talked about the type of things that Walter and Jesse have done because
yeah,
Jesse's foolish to be letting Jane threaten this man.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But
Jesse doesn't care about Jane, obviously, to be letting Jane threaten Walter to his face like that.
I think he just completely, I don't even think it's that deep. I think he just has decided to stop making decisions.
Yeah.
And
he's a fucking husk.
No matter what, like, he's not even going to contribute. He's not going to add any information. Like you said, yeah, he's a husk. He's on the sidelines. He's in the background. He's not driving.
Yeah.
This dude is in the trunk. Jesse doesn't matter right now.
Nope.
What Jesse wants doesn't matter. What Jesse's goals are doesn't matter. This is between Walt and Jane.
It's so crazy, too, because, like, I have no idea what Jesse wants. It's never even, like, mentioned or acknowledged. I've seen this show countless times at this point. I have no idea what Jesse wants. No one even asks him.
Jane's holding them stacks, hype as hell, talking about going anywhere, becoming whoever they want. They're caught up, dreaming about a fresh start in New Zealand after they clean up. But reality hits when they stroll back to the bedroom and the heroin gear still on the nightstand, calling their names. Do you feel like after, like, watching this scene, do you feel like Jesse never buys into all of Jane's suggestions?
How do you mean? Why do you feel that way?
From the moment that she starts ranting and talking about, from the moment she starts talking about giving up drugs, because he's all in on the skipping town, going to New Zealand. I can be a bush pilot and you can work on your art things. A bush pilot? All right, he's all the way in on that. But when she goes, we'll flush what we have, and that's when I feel like he completely disengages. Like his mind goes somewhere whole else.
Mm-hmm. Because she's a drug dealer. He's a drug addict, and she's talking about getting rid of their drugs.
And she's quit already voluntarily. It's already a given that
Do you really think it was voluntarily? I feel like
it has to be for you to stay clean for 18 months. You like maybe
her dad was going to the meetings with her. Her dad was making sure she was going to the meetings.
Yeah, okay, so she had his help, but in order to get off of heroin and stay clean for 18 months, you have to have some sort of intrinsic motivation to do that. Or you're just going to go back to it. There's no amount of help.
She does go back to it.
18, I'm talking about staying clean for 18 months.
18
That's an
months
accomplishment.
of her dad making sure she's going to the meetings. 18 months of motherfuckers checking up on her to make sure that she is...
Yeah, so...
I don't think any of it was voluntary. I think that she was made to go to rehab.
She was forced, like... Yeah, but then
yes,
you couldn't leave her alone.
Her dad
I'm not talking about...
Her dad didn't leave her alone. When
all right,
he did, you saw what happened.
So he was sweating her, okay. But, like, she had to have been intrinsically motivated to stay clean.
She didn't even have a sponsor. Like, it's weird. Her dad was her sponsor, and that seems so...
Yeah, that's not really the best.
That's out of the normal. Like, why wasn't someone else at the meetings her sponsor? Why was her dad...
Somebody else who was a recovering addict. Yeah. She should have had a sponsor.
None of it seemed voluntary for her. None of it seemed voluntary.
My thing is, and, you know, I'm not an addict of any sort, so...
Right.
And I haven't been through any type of recovery program. But I just have a feeling that, like, staying clean for 18 months is a huge accomplishment. Staying clean for 1 month is a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
I don't think you do that without your own reasons to stop. And then not only that, but once they get the money, her first suggestion is to get off drugs. She doesn't have the strength to, because she's freshly relapsed. It's like she's starting over from day one. But she's got to have her own reasons, bro. But Jesse has never decided to stop doing drugs. Mm-hmm. So when she suggests flushing all the drugs, I feel like he's just like, hold up now.
He was planning on doing the drugs to celebrate having the money.
He's like, pour them down the drain. Let's do these.
Yeah, what do you mean? The meth too? Walt hits up a bar, dials up Skylar with some bogus story about not finding newborn diapers anywhere. Donald, posted up at the same bar, catches wind of Walt's fib and gives him props for the slick move. Little does Walt know, Donald's Jane's old man. They start talking daughters and family, and Walt, clueless about the connection, asks for advice. Walt spills the beans about his nephew Jesse, not naming names but talking about a kid in deep trouble who won't listen. He's all frustrated, trying to do right by the young ones. Donald drops some wisdom, saying you can never give up on them. Walt takes it to heart and decides he's got to roll back to Jesse's spot and maybe talk some sense into him.
So the conversation with Donald is the reason why Walt goes back to the house.
Yes.
If that conversation doesn't happen, Jane lives then.
I think so.
A lot of people live.
Yeah. Donald has good intentions, and honestly, like, he's not lying. Everything Donald says is true. It's just coincidental that it leads to Jane dying.
Yes, because neither of them know that the other person is talking about a kid that they don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so...
If either one of them had gone deeper into their issue.
with
the child they're talking about.
Oh, wait, it's drugs? Which drug? Heroin?
Yeah, my daughter...
Who's
has met this piece of shit drug dealer who sells meth out of my whole apartment. Really? My nephew's dating this heroin junkie whore. People, let me tell you about my best friend.
Essentially, man, and low key, like, Jesse is Walt's best friend. Man, we brought up the fly earlier when we were bringing the episode in. And Walter talks about, like, what are the chances, right? And it's like this conversation, man, like, this conversation leads to, it's like a cascade. Like, there's so much that happens off of this that could have been changed. Mm-hmm. You know, Donald winds up not killing a whole bunch of people. And I definitely think, you know, answering your question again, that if Walt knew that Donald was talking about Jane, then he would have saved her. But, like, I feel like if he could have,
they still have ended up going to rehab, at least Jane. If Walter had saved Jane, they'd have still been passed out when Donald got there in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, all right, wake up.
He would have been pissed some more because he would have seen if they just went back to do more drugs.
Yeah.
And it would have been like, nah, I'm killing Jesse.
It would have reinforced his get the fuck up, let's go to rehab now.
because all those ideas that they had to like leave and skip town, they would have had to do that instead of heroin.
Yeah, they should have done meth.
Yeah, it would have just amped them up to go and skip town, just giving them way more motivation. Like, all right, let's take this money
and get the fuck out of here. Some of those ideas they might have actually been able to at least start accomplishing.
Bro, they had enough money to where everything they were talking about was realistic.
Yeah.
Walt swings by, no answer at the front door, so he does what he did before and slides in through the back. Jesse and Jane are knocked out in bed, and it hits Walt hard seeing them syringes on the bedside table. He tries to wake up Jesse, but Jane flips over, and things take a dark turn. Jane starts choking on her own vomit, and Walt's standing there torn. He moves to help, but he hits the brakes. With Jesse still out cold, Walt watches as Jane chokes, breathing her last. Dude's shaking, tear rolling down his cheek, but ultimately, he doesn't do nothing to save her. Just gets ghost. And that's the ep.
On my first watch of Breaking Bad, this was the scene that started to turn me against Walter.
That's the case for a lot of people. At the very least, I've seen for a lot of people, like on social media, like fan pages for Breaking Bad, a lot of people consider this the moment that he
becomes a villain.
He becomes a villain. But yeah, like that's another one of those things like that I take into account. Like with this scene, there's a lot of character work being done with Walter White. You see him like going like start to save her and then stop and then consider whether or not he's gonna save her, and then
I remember I was screaming at the TV like, Walt, do something.
Save her.
Don't just stand there, leave at least. I'm not gonna stand here and watch her die. Let's at least go back to the car so she dies on my drive home.
I don't know, like this seems like one of those moments like Walt can't believe what he's doing. Like
this is like it's a different kind of fucked up to like watch someone die.
Yeah, but he doesn't watch like looking over her the whole time, like me mugging her, like yeah. There's like an actual emotional response. This is Brian. This scene is Bryan Cranston's some of his finest work.
Yeah, but that's great.
You're meant to see the emotional cycle that Walter White goes through during this scene, and
he's a monster.
Maybe not feel bad for him. That's not the point, but to see that he is going through something during this. Like, do you feel like he is feeling bad for what he's doing while he's doing it? Do you think he's looking at this in disbelief of what he's doing? What do you think that this is?
I have never put much thought into what's going on in this son of a bitch's head
Never?
At the time. I'm so shocked by what he's doing. Like, there's no...
You never considered that maybe he's also shocked by what he's doing?
I guess.
Like, who he thinks he is versus what he's doing right now is, like, at a conflict. This is, like, the last vestiges of
the good
Walter,
person that Walter is. Because, yeah, this is pretty horrible.
Like, how do you reconcile this with all of your other motivations that you claim?
Yeah.
With the reason why you came here in the first place? Like, how do you reconcile your actions with the things that you've been saying?
Maybe, do you think you rationalized it as it was better for Jesse? Because,
yes.
like, realistically, Jane's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to Jesse, including her tragic death. Jesse needed that wake-up call. Jesse needed a wake-up call that would, like, actually hit him. Getting kicked out of his own home. None of the other shit that's happened in season 2 was a wake-up call yet for Jesse. For some reason. He had a bunch of wake-up calls that he just ignored. He needed to wake up
and I
next
think
to a
one
dead
of
girl.
them is Walter withholding his money from him until he gets clean. I think that was Walter's attempt at giving him a wake-up call.
Well, Walter gave him a wake-up call.
That's the real wake-up
like
call.
Killing his girlfriend. Like, as much as I think that it's Jesse's money and he had all rights to it, nothing good would have come of those two getting away with that money.
Would you have given Jesse the money? So he would have thrown that glass beaker at your chalkboard too?
I feel like I wouldn't have given them the money, but it would have been for completely different reasons. It wouldn't have been because I thought that he was on drugs, or I wouldn't have given a fuck about his drug use other than the fact that, like, He does heroin now too. It would have been more, fuck you, I did all this. Like, I did this. Jesse, what did you really do other than go to the store and get stuff? Like, the blue meth is my fault. Getting the methylamine was my idea. I had to break into your apartment to wake you up to fucking get the drugs to go get the $1 million in the first place. Like, this is my money.
Yeah, maybe I'll cut you in.
Yeah,
25%.
I'll give you some of it, I guess. But, like, fuck you, bro. He'd have had to fight me for it. He's a crazy meth head, so he probably would have won.
I think that Walter's motivations for this, I think they're twofold, you know, that double-edged sword, because I do feel like a big part of it is that like this woman was just antagonizing him. She was just antagonizing him. If she was nothing but pleasant, but she was also a drug addict, there's probably still a little bit of a chance that he might have saved her. But I do feel like he probably thought he was making a good decision for Jesse.
For both of them. I think it's like when he killed Mike and then realized immediately afterwards that he didn't really have to kill Mike.
I don't think that I think that he goes the entire rest of the series, though, justifying, like, I never have gotten the feeling that he felt like this was the wrong decision.
No,
does
I
he
do.
Feel bad?
I do. The Fly episode makes it feel like he regrets this. I think he regrets it in the Fly episode. I think that episode, yeah. His whole monologue when he's talking to Jesse about everything, when he almost tells Jesse that this shit happened.
I think he might have told Jesse if he didn't hear the Fly again.
Yeah, I do too.
Because that's what interrupted him. Wait, it's the Fly. He was like on the edge. You felt like he was going to leak it, and then the Fly showed back up. Yep. Really good writing.
Yeah, I don't know why people hate the Fly episode so much.
Me neither.
It's so good.
For me, it's like one of my favorite ones.
It's one of the best episodes.
It's
so
just
well
like
written.
Completely focused. It's very well written.
And maybe there's just too much talking, not enough explosions and shooting and shit.
It could be that's it. If you are watching Breaking Bad for the action,
it's a good action show.
Then you definitely don't like The Fly.
Which one? Yeah, for sure. Or Skylar.
Or anything to do with Skylar or Junior or Marie.
Yeah.
Nah. There's a lot that has happened in these last couple episodes. It's about to come to a conclusion in the next episode. There were a lot of things that we talked about in this episode that I had to almost like check myself a lot, because like
they happen next episode.
It's easy to like roll things over into next episode.
That's how the beginning of the season was, with all the Tuco stuff that should have happened in the first season, and it still feels like season 1 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It all blends together. It's the same thing.
How do you feel about this episode?
It was one of the most iconic episodes of the show. So much. This and the next one, like shit goes hand in hand. But it's the exit of, I guess, at least a section of the fan base's favorite character. So many people love Jane so much. A lot of this is a very impactful episode of the show.
Mm-hmm. Probably why they like brought her back for some season 3 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not in a Marvel DC way, but in a flashback way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this episode too. It like really keeps you engaged. It's like, especially once Jane calls Walter, that's when it like really picks up and really starts. Everything else is just, I don't know, B-side stuff.
You think so? It's just character stuff. Everything with the Save Walter White website is...
Really, yeah, because really that's undercover Walter White character work.
It's not enough Hank. It's not enough Hank in this episode.
Yeah, not a whole bunch of Hank going on. But next episode, we get a very important Hank scene.
Episode 13?
Mm-hmm. Involving Gus.
Oh, yeah.
Next episode is also the season finale. We're very excited to see you guys there for that. That's going to be a good one. I can't wait to talk about this season wrap up, because I have some ideas about it that kind of changed the way that I felt about this season in general, as opposed to how I felt about season 2 before we started the show.
Mm-hmm.
So in either case, thank you guys for checking this out. We appreciate you for coming through. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this video if you liked it. Comment down below if you want to add to our conversation. And yeah, anything else?
No.
All right, we good.
Covered it quite efficiently.
Of course. Rest in peace, Wes.
Bye.
Alright, party people, we've reached the end of another wild ride with Life, Death, and Dope Boys. Hope you enjoyed cruising through the criminal underworld with Indy and Justin. Before we sign off, a quick reminder. If you missed the action, hit that rewind button before we spill all the secrets. Big shout out to my man Donald Margolis for dropping some wisdom on Walt. That's what's up. Jesse, keep your head up. Hope you find that sunshine at the end of this dark ride. Jane, catch you in another lifetime, sister, where the vibes are sweeter and the skies are clearer. As we wrap it up, remember to follow, subscribe, and keep it locked for more tales from the streets. This is your late night guide through the crime maze, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Stay smooth, don't be shady, and until next time, keep riding with Life, Death, and Dope Boys. Rest in peace, Wes.